Washington's home while both played for the Portland Trail Blazers. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The losing streak is up to 6 for the Dodgers. They lost 3-2 at Milwaukee in 10 innings. The 6-game losing streak is the longest for the Dodgers since April of 2019. Something is going on with the Dodgers offense. They've scored only 5 runs in the last 42 innings. Nothing wrong with the Angels offense. They hit 4 home runs last night in their 11-8 win over Texas. If you're into NBA Summer League action, there's an interesting game today that might be worth your time. The rookies and free agents of the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks are meeting up today in Las Vegas. It's a chance to see Bronny James against Dallas rookie Cooper Flagg, the number 1 pick in last month's NBA draft. ESPN will have live coverage, tip-off time at 5 p.m. The LA Sparks have a day game today at Crypto.com Arena. They played the Minnesota Lynx at noon. Minnesota has the WNBA's best record at 17-2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
That's what we're doing, living in America as best we can these days. Being embarrassed by our president, who clearly doesn't know that they speak English in Liberia. We played that clip in the first half. If you haven't heard it, it's everywhere. What an embarrassment Donald Trump is in so many ways. Every time an African head of state comes to the White House, it's some drama. As I mentioned earlier, it was Cyril Ramaphosa not long ago from South Africa who just got humiliated by Donald Trump. And it's the same Donald Trump who, as referred to these countries as S-hole countries, right? And now you want to compliment this guy on his really good English. Okay, Mr. President. I digress on that. I thank Sean Wynn for that conversation in the back half of our first hour to sort of lay the groundwork for where I want to go, or where I think I want to go in this hour with Roeshana Moore-Evans. I said Monroe Moore. See, look at that. Let me show you something. Let me show you this. I'm going to tease my producers when I get off the air. You see this right here? And you see this right here? I'm showing Roeshana my paperwork that my producers gave me that give her 2 different last names for Raji. It's Roeshana Moore-Evans, not Roeshana Moore-Evans. All right. I ain't going to spank him on the air like that. But anyway. Roeshana, lean into that microphone. It's good to have you in studio. How are you?
I am doing well. I am so happy to be in conversation with you, Tavis. As I was mentioning, I've been watching you since BET, PBS.
Thank you.
You've always been a truth teller and an advocate for justice, and I'm excited to be here and humbled as well. I'm
glad to have you. You're home, you make your home in Boston.
Yep.
Okay, so
Born and raised.
she's on the West Coast. What brings you out this way?
I am visiting an artist.
Oh, good.
Armenia Rosales, an Afro-Cuban artist who's actually doing a memorial for one of my clients.
Oh, cool. Well, welcome to L.A. And this program, of course, is heard across the country, but I'm glad to have you in studio from Boston. So I know there's some delicacies here that I want to be sensitive to because you are the inaugural director, and there are all kinds of issues still connected to this slavery project, the Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative, to call it by its official title. But I, again, talked to Sean, wanted to get the perspective of the students. I think a lot of us who just follow the news every day were just shocked. First of all, I was shocked when Harvard agreed to do this thing. I mean, $100 million, which is nothing to Harvard, but $100 million is a lot of money to attach to a project of this significance, to acknowledge publicly that you did own some slaves that were connected to this institution. So I celebrated Harvard. I recall on this program saying, I mean, this is a big deal. My friend Cornel West, my dear friend and big brother, we talked about it. Of course, everybody knows Cornel West's connection to Harvard. And other friends of mine, I got all kind of friends, Skip and everybody, all my friends back at Harvard, we talked about this when this announcement was made. So I was, giving Harvard a little love. And then out of nowhere, this thing just got shut down. As we were reading stories about the number being a whole lot more than 50 or 75 people, the number got bigger and Harvard just sort of went the other way. I said to Sean a moment ago, just to recap that conversation, that there's so many ways that Harvard is posturing publicly like they're willing to fight this administration, but in so many other ways, they're just bending the knee like everybody else. And that's sad to see. So that's the frame that we're in this hour with Roeshana. And I think I want to start with this. How did you become the inaugural director? It's a big deal for Harvard to do this, but it's a big deal for them to have selected you, a brilliant black woman, to run this project. So tell me how you became the inaugural director.
Yeah, so I'll start off with my upbringing, right? Because our upbringing always brings us to where we need to be in life.
Sure.
So I was born and raised in Boston by a single father who instilled in me the importance of family, faith, and education. And he taught me that my potential wasn't limited to my race, but how hard I worked, right? He made sure that I knew that I could truly do anything. And that's kind of what my mindset has always been. I can do anything if I put my mind to it. Nothing is limiting. But as I got older, I saw cracks in the system, right? So I have family members who live in the projects, brilliant and talented young men and women, and they couldn't see themselves outside of that. And I knew that I didn't want to get caught up in that. So I just buried myself in books, right? My father had a big bookcase of books by, Richard Wright and Langston Hughes and Maya Angelou and Ralph Ellison. And I read those books. The first book that I actually read was The Native Son.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one.
By Richard Wright.
It's a good one, yeah.
At 11 years old.
You read that?
I was that young.
11's a little young to be reading.
I know, right?
That book.
But that was the book that I read.
I got it.
And I realized at that young age that our circumstances aren't our own making, right? It's the making of the system. And so that's how I've always thought about life. And I've always wanted to use my education to, number one, get out of generational poverty.
Sure.
To give myself agency, to fight against injustices, to push back against the forces working against me, because there are forces that are working against Black people. Seen and unseen.
Yeah.
And that deepened when I became a mother, right? So I have a daughter, and she was at a private school in Boston, and one of her white classmates compared her to a slave. She said, you would have been a slave during the time of, when the Native Americans were building their boats. And that was jarring for both of us, because that's not how I was born and raised, right? I was born to believe that Black is beautiful. I can do anything I can put my mind to.
How did you, hold on a second, I'm
Yep.
watching my clock here. When we come forward,
Yep.
sit tight for a second. I want to ask how your daughter responded to this white classmate at school comparing her to a slave. I want to start there. It's going to be a great hour. Roeshana Moore-Evans is here. She's the founder and principal strategist for Equity Empowerment, but she was the inaugural executive director of the now very controversial Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. Of course, she's no longer there, but she was the inaugural director, so I wanted her in this conversation today to explain to us what happened here as best she can tell. She was gone, of course, before they shut this thing down. I want to be clear about that, but she was there first, so her perspective on this is vitally important to me and to the national audience. You're listening to Roeshana Moore-Evans right now, and I'm glad about it on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. I do not consider myself a fan of Sean Puffy, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy Love, Brother Love Combs. But one doesn't have to be a fan to acknowledge a simple truth about his recent jury trial. I think the primary reason he was acquitted of those sex trafficking and RICO charges is because he was overcharged in the first place. Mine is not to opine on his guilt or innocence on any of the charges the feds brought against him. But I predicted months ago that he would beat the most serious charges because, as usual, prosecutors have a really bad habit of overcharging black men. Dave Chappelle said it best: Puffy is in a RICO case all by himself, man. Hilarious and arresting at the same time. When prosecutors put a target on the backs of black men, they throw everything at them just to see what sticks. And too often, just like in the Puffy case at the very end, they move to dismiss some of the charges and then double down on the ones they think they can win. It's racist and it's wrong, and somebody ought to say so. I think I just did. Not for the benefit of Puffy, but on behalf of all the other black men who have been and sadly will be woefully overcharged in the future. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
No one wants to leave behind stress for their family. That's why a trust or a will is so important. Without one, your assets might go to the wrong people or leave out loved ones. Also, probate is long, expensive, and often avoidable with a revocable trust. Trustandwill.com makes it simple to create a personalized estate plan. A trust or will provides clarity and peace of mind. Get 20% off on your estate plan documents by visiting trustandwill.com/radio.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Roeshana Moore-Evans, founder and principal strategist for Equity Empowerment, taking us inside her former role as the inaugural executive director of the very controversial Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. In case you've just tuned in, Harvard announced some time ago they were putting up $100 million to deal with this issue, the aftermath of the issue regarding the number of slaves that they had owned. And the number, long story short, after the research was done, went significantly higher than what Harvard had thought or estimated. And then all of a sudden, the project, the $100 million project, was just abandoned. Poof, it just went away, essentially. trying to understand what that's all about, and particularly in this moment when black students at Harvard are being put upon in ways that are unimaginable. It's a great institution, historic institution. Don't get me wrong. I've been honored to speak there a number of times over the course of my career. Was headed to Harvard Law School until I got sidetracked working for Tom Bradley as mayor of L.A. Never got to Harvard Law School except to lecture. So I remember the first time I went there, I just cried. I've often wondered how my life would be different had I went to Harvard Law as opposed to taking that job with Tom Bradley. I'm not complaining. My life has turned out all right. But I was actually headed to Harvard Law myself, coming out of undergraduate school at Indiana University. But I look at the ways in which Claudine Gay was forced out, look at the ways in which these websites that Harvard has had online for some time now serving minority students are disappearing. I look at, again, and it's not just Harvard, so many academic institutions, as I said earlier, are bending the knee, but Harvard is the granddaddy. If anybody can hold off an administration, if anybody can fight back, if anybody has the resources, it's Harvard. And if the Trump administration can belittle Harvard and take them down and make them say uncle, then ain't nobody safe. All these academic institutions are in trouble. So I'm particularly concerned about the way black students and black academics and black administrators are being treated or maltreated, as it were, how they're navigating. Harvard was a part of that affirmative action case, and they didn't fight that the way I thought they should. So don't get me started about Harvard. I like them on the one hand, and I loathe them on the other hand. That's just me talking, not Roeshana Moore-Evans. So that's why we're having this conversation, because I want to get a sense of why they just abandoned, no naivete here, why they just abandoned this $100 million Harvard Legacy of Slavery initiative. Now, I say all the time on this program that sometimes the best part of these shows, these hours, happen during the breaks. So I'm going to reprise as best I can. I see her rolling her eyes now. Roeshana and I were just having a conversation offline about being born and raised in Boston. She still lives in Boston, as she established earlier in this conversation. We'll get back to the story about her daughter in just a second, but this ties in nicely. I said to her, I love Boston. This is me talking, Tavis. I love Boston, but I can never live there. She said, why not? I said, a few reasons. She said, the cold. I said, that's a problem, but I did grow up in Indiana. I'm used to the cold, but it is bitterly cold in New England. That's a problem. But I said to her, and she grew up in Roxbury. So did Mel King, and so did Malcolm X. I know Roxbury, a lot of great people from Roxbury. But I said to her that Boston is just too doggone segregated for me. It's too segregated. It has racist tendencies. I learned the hard way. You don't want to be in South Boston when the sun goes down. So you got a northern town, but still a sundown town. Don't get caught with your black self in South Boston after dark. And I think that in some ways that's still true today, sadly. And I feel the class thing more in Boston than I do any other northern city. That class thing is real in Boston. On the flip side, it's a great sports town. It's got great food. And I love all these academic institutions in a 20-mile radius. Just so many great colleges in that Boston area. So I was saying to her that I love the city, love to visit, but could never really live there. And I was asking you how you have felt about the things I just said, how you've navigated life in Boston as a black woman.
Yeah. I mean, as I was mentioning, I give a lot of props to my father who raised me.
Your single father. Yeah.
My single father who raised me. Shout out to Mark Evans.
Yeah.
Who told me to take up space.
Yeah.
To unapologetically take up space.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were at some of the cultural institutions in Boston often, the Museum of Fine Arts, the library, bike riding all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not feel that sense of racism because I was told to take up space.
Right.
And so it really makes a difference, who your parent is and what they instill in you early on.
Right. But then your daughter comes home one day
from a private school.
Exactly.
I'm paying now for her to go to school, and she come home and tell me somebody compared her to a slave.
Tell me more.
And that was jarring for her.
Mm-hmm.
I think it diminished something in her. She felt less than.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was like, we got to do something about educating these children on how to talk about the, slavery, how to talk about, levels of socioeconomic levels and all of that. And I jumped into action right after that. I started hosting conversations with those parents on how to talk to their children about race, started doing more volunteering work. Any job that I worked in, the boards that I served on, I started talking about the racial inequities and really trying to change those narratives. And so before that, I always tell people that I have like a business background with a social justice side hustle, right? And so I would, my background is in finance and administration and operations. But I started the very first affinity group for a large research institution in Boston, the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. After leaving a role within the Broad, I went to Count Me In, a nonprofit within the Broad, and developed a DEI strategy for them. And then this role at Harvard happened, where I was able to use my skill in strategy, operations, and finance with my commitment to equity and social justice to move this work along.
What did you think? Again, I appreciate there's some delicacies here. So if I ask something that you can't answer, then tell me so.
I will let you know.
I know you will. I know you're a Mark Evans baby. So
That's right.
I know you will. I can sense that and feel that across this desk. What did you think, though? I think that this is a question I think you can answer. What did you think? What did you believe that Harvard was hiring you to accomplish?
Well, they knew who they were hiring.
Yeah.
So just as real as I am with you, I was real with them,
right?
About who I am, and I came there to do the work,
right?
So they were hiring me to implement the recommendations from that report, and that's what I was called to do.
And give me a sense of what some of those recommendations were.
Yeah, it's a list of 7 of them, so let me pull them up. So one of them was to engage and support descendant communities by leveraging Harvard's excellence in education. Another was to honor enslaved people through memorialization, research curricula, and knowledge dissemination. The third was to develop enduring partnerships with HBCUs. The fourth was to identify, engage, and support direct descendants of those who were enslaved. Honor, engage, and support Native communities, establish an endowed legacy of slavery fund, which is that $100 million endowment, and then to ensure institutional accountability, which is hiring me, right? And so those were the 7 recommendations. And I just want to clarify something. The initiative is not shut down, right?
No, Sean made that point. It's been transferred outside.
No, not even that. So the initiative is the HSRP, the Harvard Slavery Remembrance Project, was an initiative within the initiative, right? So there's a larger initiative being led by the Vice Provost for Special Projects, Sarah Bleich, and she's still leading that work. It's still happening. There's a memorial committee that's doing work to memorialize those who were enslaved. I believe they have some HBCU students who were there as well. So the work is still happening, but that aspect of the work has been transferred over to American ancestors.
Can I ask you why you think that happened?
Don't know. I wasn't there. Was it almost a year after I left? I don't know.
Good decision or bad decision on their part to transfer it out? From your perspective.
I don't know. I mean, I always felt that it's hard for an institution to hold itself accountable, right? So sometimes having external folks do the work could work. But I don't know the reason. I don't know.
It just felt, again,
it felt abrupt to many of us, right?
Abrupt is one word. It was abrupt, but it felt like a pivot. It felt like a pivot.
The timing was off, right? I think as Sean mentioned, it was like the week of or the week after Trump was inaugurated. And so, one thing I will say about this work, it's not easy work, right? And it's nuanced, it's complex, and I don't know why the decision was made to outsource it, but I do hope that the work still continues because this work is too important to fail. Right?
Can I ask why you left a year before this decision was made?
It was time for me to go. Right?
There's a loaded comment. Why'd you leave? It was time for me to go. Why? Thank you, Roeshana, for that.
No, it was time. For me, I was doing a lot of community work while I was in that position, and I wanted to do it more closely.
Right.
So, God has given me skills. And right now I'm working with faith-based institutions, nonprofit organizations, large corporations, and really helping them understand this work of repair, right? And that's the reason.
How did you process being chosen to lead a $100 million reparative justice effort? That's how I see it. It was, I don't know if it still is, but it was initially intended to be a reparative justice effort. There was a lot of money behind that. How did you process just being in place to lead that particular effort?
I go back to what I said earlier. My father said I can do anything if I put my mind to it.
Right.
And I knew that my heart was in it. The work of repair takes courage, clarity, and care. I had that. And so there was no doubt that God had placed me in that position within that time to do the work.
Yeah.
And the way that I thought about it was centering Black people and Black voices in it, right? So getting community members involved in the work, make sure that the Boston and Cambridge community members, HBCUs, others knew that Harvard wasn't shying away from this work as an accountability to the university. I had no doubt that I could do it.
What is the value? And if you don't like the word value, you have agency to offer a different word. But what is the value to your mind of these long-standing historic institutions? Not everybody has, but there is a growing list, slow but growing list of major iconic institutions that are starting to acknowledge their complicity with slavery. What's the public benefit, the public good, the public value of those acknowledgments?
It's finally telling a truth that's been suppressed, right? When I'm working with some clients and even folks at Harvard, folks were surprised that slavery existed in New England, right? Massachusetts was the first colony to legalize slavery. Many people don't know that. Slavery was brutal, right? The reason why we have these disparities right now for Black and brown people is because of the legacy of slavery. So if we don't know those things, then how can we address these issues? And so the importance of truth telling is foundational to this work. We have to tell the truth about this country's history. It hasn't been told before, and it's trying to be swept under the table once again, right? Ridding itself of this country trying to get rid of Black institutions. One institution in Boston right now, the Museum of African American History, a grant was rescinded because the administration thought that their work wasn't needed.
Yeah. Well, as we discussed on this program, they've been going after the Blacksonian, as we call it in D.C. So it's not just Boston, it's D.C. It's everywhere. So I got 2 minutes here now. We'll continue when we come forward. But in these 2 minutes, since you went there, let me follow you. What is your read, given that you are in this space doing this work, what is your read of the U-turn that the country has done on diversity, equity, inclusion? And I say the country because Donald Trump did a U-turn, and then corporate America used that as an excuse to do a U-turn themselves. I mean, when I say the country, I mean public sector, private sector. What's your read in this moment of this U-turn that we have witnessed on these kinds of corrective programs?
Right. I think Peniel Joseph has a book called, I think it's the fourth Reconstruction. Or the third, I think it's the fourth. But this is what happens, right? When this country sees progress for those who the progress wasn't meant for, you see this this visceral reaction to it. And so I'm not surprised that it's happening. And we just got to move forward.
Our guest in studio right now is Roeshana Moore-Evans. She's the founder and principal strategist for Equity Empowerment. We're talking in this hour about her former role as the inaugural executive director of the now controversial Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. She explained a moment ago that it is continuing, but it's a different sort of iteration. And there are a lot of people who've been disappointed at, what they regard as Harvard pivoting or abandoning this effort. And again, you can't look at this in a silo. You have to look at this alongside all the other things that Harvard has done or has undone. And again, it's not just Harvard. I want to beat up on them. There are other institutions doing the same thing. Columbia ain't done no better. I could run the list of these institutions that are really just disappointing all of us in terms of bending the knee, acquiescing, bowing down to the Trump administration. But Harvard ought to know better. And Harvard has the resources to fight this. That's the real issue. And that's what's annoying me, that they are going to let Donald Trump humiliate them publicly, emasculate them publicly. And if he can do it to Harvard, again, ain't nobody safe. We'll continue our conversation with Roeshana Moore-Evans when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
I'm Brie Wood with BIN News Now. An illegal daycare in Rockland County, New York has been shut down. Officials say it operated in unsafe, overcrowded conditions beneath a tobacco shop and in a windowless basement.
There were at least 69 children between the ages of 3 months and 5 years and 21 adults. As I said, the maximum occupancy for the entire building is 33.
The facility was never approved and the owner may face criminal charges. Los Angeles is on pace for its lowest homicide total in 60 years. Black Mayor Karen Bass and LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell credit faster police response and prevention efforts. Homicides are down 14% compared to last year. And Carnival Cruise Line is under fire for new rules critics say unfairly target black passengers. Policies include a marijuana ban, curfews, and restrictions on music and fans. Some travelers are canceling trips, calling the changes discriminatory. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The losing streak is up to 6 for the Dodgers. They lost 3-2 at Milwaukee in 10 innings. The 6-game losing streak is the longest for the Dodgers since April of 2019. Something is going on with the Dodgers offense. They've scored only 5 runs in the last 42 innings. Nothing wrong with the Angels offense. They hit 4 home runs last night in their 11-8 win over Texas. If you're into NBA Summer League action, there's an interesting game today that might be worth your time. The rookies and free agents of the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks are meeting up today in Las Vegas. It's a chance to see Bronny James against Dallas rookie Cooper Flagg, the number 1 pick in last month's NBA draft. ESPN will have live coverage, tip-off time at 5 p.m. The LA Sparks have a day game today at Crypto.com Arena. They played the Minnesota Lynx at noon. Minnesota has the WNBA's best record at 17-2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., inviting you to join me weekdays at 12 noon, right after Tavis Smiley, here on KBLA Talk 1580. As a law school graduate and a theologian with a firm grasp of our body politic given almost 2 decades in Congress, my show is the fresh new home of an authentic, uncompromised quest for transformation and salvation, both personal and collectively, as I vigorously interrogate the theological and symbolic meanings embedded in our society. I promise to leverage my knowledge of history, theology, and both international and domestic issues to imagine an inclusive vision for the future, which I hope will inspire all of us to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as a given, not just an aspiration. So join me weekdays at 12 noon right after Tavis Smiley for 2 hours of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Hey man, hey, what's up, bro? What's the station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Progressive. KBLA.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education. Just to know, ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive. KBLA.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Roeshana Moore-Evans, who is the founder and principal strategist of Equity Empowerment. We've been talking about her role as the former inaugural executive director of the Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative and all the drama we're reading about in the media now about Harvard sort of abandoning or pivoting. I don't know what word they would use. They'd say continuing, but it's in a different frame. And a lot of people are just on pins and needles watching the way Harvard is showing up or not these days as it relates to the Trump administration. Let me ask you this question right quick here. We were, Roeshana and I were talking during the break. My social media guy came in. And I had to talk to him about pulling a clip from James Clyburn. In case you just tuned in, we had Councilman Clyburn earlier today on this program. He was our lead guest today, as a matter of fact, in our first hour. And I was actually struck. I've known James Clyburn a long time, and he's a good friend of mine, as you heard in that conversation. We go back. But he surprised me today with his forthright, endorsement and support of Zoran Mandami in that mayor's race in New York. I think all of us in the studio kind of, our eyes like, whoa, did he say that? Because James Clyburn is himself an establishment Democrat. And many establishment Democrats are pushing back on Zoran Mandami in New York City right now. And so I was just surprised by the full-throated explanation from James Clyburn. If you're a Democrat and you lose the primary and you're a good Democrat, you endorse the guy who beat you. And we're going to go with the majority opinion. So he was just as clear as a bell about why he's supporting the guy that beat his guy. He had endorsed Andrew Cuomo in that race, and Cuomo lost to Mandami, as we all know. And but again, I'm just surprised a bit, even knowing Clyburn as I do, that he was, again, that stalwart in his support for the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City now, Zoran Mandami. I raised that because I was talking to my social media guy, Sky, and Roeshana was in the studio, so she heard this conversation as we were getting this clip ready to sort of push out on all of our social media platforms. It's probably up by now. That was 5 minutes ago. But I raised that because Democrats, as James Clyburn and I discussed, have an issue with messaging. They have an issue with branding. And whatever Harvard did or didn't do here, whatever happened here, if it's an abandonment or a pivot on this $100 million project, the way it's being played publicly is not good for their brand. Talk to me about that part to the extent you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not their public affairs group, but I'll go back to even the way that Claudine was represented.
Claudine Gay, the president,
Claudine
former president,
Gay in the media.
Sure.
And so I think that I think that there is a messaging problem because,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that you all didn't know that the Legacy of Slavery Initiative is still going. Mm-hmm. So how can they speak more forthright about that? Mm-hmm. I'm not a communications person, so I don't really have anything to say, but I think that if they, since the initiative is still going, they should still continue to speak about it, speak life into it.
How can you work with a variety of companies? Let me ask a broader question, which I think is relevant for a lot of companies and corporations in this moment. How can you present yourself as forward-facing, as being truthful, the word you used earlier, transparent, in a moment like this as an institution when there's all this internal strife going on? What's your advice to companies who are trying to figure out how to present themselves to the public when we can watch and read and see that there's a lot of internal strife? I'm watching this Target thing. In this boycott of Target. Target is trying to present itself one way to the public, but it's abundantly clear to me that on the inside of Target, there's some drama going on.
Right.
And not the only company I could point to in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, your internal struggle shows itself on the outside, right? So regardless of what kind of messaging you have, if you are dealing with things on the inside and you're not reconciling those things, then it's going to show up on the outside. I was just telling Tavis that the companies that I'm working with now, they are not fearful about being out and proud about the work that they're doing. So definitely not having fear, being smart, being strategic, being on message, as I think Rep. Clybourne mentioned, having that consistent message about what it is that you're trying to do and not backing down. Like this administration, they're bullies. And the way to fight a bully is not to back down, but it's to, stand strong in your position. Yeah. And so that would be my advice: stand strong in your position while also being strategic.
When you left your role, and this is interesting to me, when you left your role as the inaugural executive director of the Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative to launch your own firm, to hang out your own shingle, as we say, what were you intending to do when you started?
I was intending to expand who I was doing work with. So like right now I'm working with a faith-based institution, with a grassroots organization, a nonprofit, some corporations, and to be a thought partner to them in a way that would help advance their mission and their values as institutions. And so that's what I'm currently doing. I'm working with King's Chapel, which is the first Anglican church in New England, 99% white, also the first Unitarian church. And they found out that they had ties to enslavement about almost a decade ago. And they didn't shy away from that. They released a report. Right now they have a memorial that's going to be unveiled in September. That's this beautiful Black woman on one of the busiest intersections in Boston, at the intersection of School Street and Tremont Street. And they're out and proud not out and proud, but they're saying we had this legacy. We want to address it. Let's move it forward. They're going to have a living memorial, which will be an initiative that is being led by Black and brown people. That's going to focus on education, healing, and systemic change.
When folk come to you to hire you and to get your service, to acquire your services, to help them navigate, how might I put it, these troubled waters, tell me about their fear and their trepidation. They know they did something, their institution did something bad way back when. What are their fears and trepidations in real time about trying to come to terms with it publicly?
I think judgment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
The accountability. Right?
The money?
Likely.
Yeah.
Not even that. I mean, it's just, no one wants to be known as like the slave church or the slave organization or the slave institution, college, university.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? And so the way that I first focus on is what I said to you earlier. You got to focus on the inside first. You can't go outside and do any type of repair. Focus on the inside, the healing, the reconciliation, the truth-telling, the knowledge. That has to be institution-wide. And so some of the organizations that I'm working on right now, we're doing some healing and some workshops internally first, before they do that outside work.
When you tell them that they need to be truthful, again, you were at Harvard on this project. You have your own firm working with a lot of different companies and institutions who are, again, trying to navigate these same murky waters. But when you press them to be transparent, to be truthful, you ever get pushback?
No.
Never?
Not from the one.
Wow.
The good thing about having your own firm, I just told you, you get to choose your own clients. You get to choose who you want to work with. And so I'm very clear about who I am as a person, what my values are. And I say, we're going to tell the truth, in a way that's going to move the work along. And I don't think that there's a real fear behind that. But there is a little bit because of the judgment piece.
The judgment part I get. I get that. And yet, there ain't but one way forward, right?
Tell the truth.
Exactly.
And the truth shall what? Set you free.
Exactly.
Right? The inverse is don't tell the truth and remain in bondage.
Yeah. Nope, I get it. She's the founding principal strategist of Equity Empowerment with a long list of clients now who she's helping to navigate these issues of things that they may have done in their past that they are not proud of. And when we come forward, I want to ask you about this particular moment. It's one thing to have been doing this work 20 years ago. It may be something different to be doing this work 20 years from now. To be advising people about how to navigate this tricky terrain in this tricky American moment of Trump is a whole nother thing. We'll talk about that part when we come forward with Roeshana Moore-Evans on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Roeshana Moore-Evans, who's the founding principal strategist of Equity Empowerment, was the inaugural executive director, if I can say it, executive director of the Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. We've had two conversations in today's show about this project that is run into some controversy. I'll just leave it at that. But I wanted to just sort of get to the bottom of it with two guests. We talked to Sean Wynn earlier, who at one point, most recently, was the president of the Harvard Black Law Students Association, and to get their perspective on it. as students and how they felt about it, and they're none too happy about it. And wanted to get her Roeshana's perspective as again the inaugural executive director. She's no longer there. She has her own. She like Heavy D. We got our own thing. She has her own thing now, her own shingle, and she's working with other institutions beyond her time at Harvard, helping them navigate some of this same sort of, as I said earlier, tricky terrain. The terrain is tricky, but so are the times that we find ourselves in. Situate for me, because again, 20 years from now, you'll look back on this. How do you think then you will situate having done or process having done this work in this moment? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is the time, right? There are so many institutions. There's over 100 universities who are studying their legacy of slavery. Mm-hmm. There are reparations task force all across the country. In California right now, there's one in Boston. Right. There are people who are talking about this legacy of slavery and who really want to address the harm that was caused, who want to reckon with it, who want institutions in this country to pay what's owed, right? And not just financially, but also with policy changes. And I would even, I mentioned to you in my briefing some healing, too. Like this country needs healing. And so if I look back 20 years from now about this work, I would say that it's foundational. Yeah. I think it's going to continue. I don't know about academic institutions because of this administration, but I know for the church that I'm working with, they're like, we don't get money from the federal government, so we are. Yep, go ahead.
Let me ask you a quick question about that. I was thinking moments ago, so here's a good opportunity to put it in. It's one thing, and none of this is excusable. Don't get me wrong. It's one thing for a college or some other institution to have misbehaved, treated people as less than human back in the day. One thing for a college to do that, but a church, you saw that coming, didn't you? Mm-hmm. But a church, right? Like how do your clients, how does your church client process that a religious institution did this to black people?
Right, and it wasn't so much the church, but the ministers and members. Okay, right. So they had, ministers who were likely wealthy. They had servants, or they. They benefited from the slave trade, and so did the members as well. Mm-hmm. But we know that the legacy of slavery was so-called validated through the Bible, right? Sure. And so now there's a spiritual responsibility to address what happened back then. Yeah. And so that's how they reconcile it now, is like they did that back then, but today we know it was wrong. We know that many hundreds, thousands, millions of people, but I say a couple of hundred within this church, they were dehumanized, right? And we need to do something about it. There's a sense of urgency for this one institution anyways to do something about it.
Her name is Roeshana Moore-Evans, and when we come forward in our remaining moments with her, I've been thinking about this for the last 10 minutes and trying to figure out how I want to get at it. I think I figured it out, and we're going to get at it when we come forward here in our few moments here that we have left. You said earlier in this conversation that the truth will set you free. And because I'm a student of that and where that comes from, I have believed that my whole life. But in this instance, I want to play with this for a second. This notion that the truth, that telling the truth, will set you free. It's philosophical, but we're going to do it when I come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit fvgradio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
We got 3 minutes left here with Roeshana Moore-Evans, founder and principal strategist for equity empowerment, former inaugural executive director of the Harvard Legacy of Slavery Initiative. I've got, again, 3 minutes left here, not even 3. But I said that I've been noodling this notion of the truth setting you free. I could argue, if I wanted to, in this moment of American history, certainly, that the truth lands you in hot water. That the truth is not necessarily setting folk free these days. Mm-hmm. And you'd say what?
And I would say it depends on what free means to you, right? Mm-hmm. You know, for me, it means being able to be without fear, right? I said to you earlier, Jesus told the truth, and he was set free in the spiritual sense, right? And so I think we just need to be very mindful of why we're doing things, what is the truth, and why is it important, and just not be fearful around it.
Yeah. I'm just laughing internally because I hear you, but Jesus had the capacity to come back on the third day. The rest of us get buried, and I'm not sure we have the capacity to.
Well, Paul told the truth,
ourselves,
right? We got to think about all the martyrs who had to tell the truth, and you know, Malcolm X had to tell the truth. MLK had to tell the truth. The truth is not easy. It may not lead you to, you know, what you're thinking freedom is, but it is, you know, freedom of, again, free to be.
Yeah. No, I'm not suggesting at all that the truth doesn't set you free. I'm just thinking of it in the inverse because, again, we're in a moment right now where the value on truth is not what I think it ought to be. I'm not even sure there is any subjective truth these days. This is the administration that likes to offer what they call alternative facts, which just don't exist. I digress on that for now. I am delighted to have had you in studio, Roeshana. I'm grateful for the work that you are doing. And these institutions need somebody, and I say this respectfully, they need somebody to usher them, somebody to hold their hand, to help them through this, to come to terms with the truth of their past, to tell that truth transparently and publicly, to be forward-facing. Somebody has to help them do it, and I'm glad that Mark Evans' baby is helping them do it. Good to have you in studio. Safe travels back to Boston.
Thank you so much, Tavis.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Brie Wood with BIN News Now. An illegal daycare in Rockland County, New York has been shut down. Officials say it operated in unsafe, overcrowded conditions beneath a tobacco shop and in a windowless basement.
There are at least 69 children between the ages of 3 months and 5 years and 21 adults. As I said, the maximum occupancy for the entire building is 33.
The facility was never approved and the owner may face criminal charges. Los Angeles is on pace for its lowest homicide total in 60 years. Black Mayor Karen Bass and LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell credit faster police response and prevention efforts. Homicides are down 14% compared to last year. And Carnival Cruise Line is under fire for new rules critics say unfairly target black passengers. Policies include a marijuana ban, curfews, and restrictions on music and fans. Some travelers are canceling trips, calling the changes discriminatory. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The losing streak is up to 6 for the Dodgers. They lost 3-2 at Milwaukee in 10 innings. The 6-game losing streak is the longest for the Dodgers since April of 2019. Something is going on with the Dodgers offense. They've scored only 5 runs in the last 42 innings. Nothing wrong with the Angels offense. They hit 4 home runs last night in their 11-8 win over Texas. If you're into NBA Summer League action, there's an interesting game today that might be worth your time. The rookies and free agents of the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks are meeting up today in Las Vegas. It's a chance to see Bronny James against Dallas rookie Cooper Flagg, the #1 pick in last month's NBA draft. ESPN will have live coverage, tip-off time at 5 p.m. The LA Sparks have a day game today at Crypto.com Arena. They played the Minnesota Lynx at noon. Minnesota has the WNBA's best record at 17-2. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Hey man, hey, what's up, What's the station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
$1. In fact, no, brother man, here, have two. $2 means a snack for me, but it means a big deal to you. Be strong, serve God only. Know that if you do, beautiful heaven awaits. That's the poem I wrote for the first time. I saw a man with no clothes, no money, no plate, Mr. Wendell. That's his name. No one ever knew his name, cause he's a no one. Never thought twice about spending on an old bum until I had the chance to really get to know one. Now that I know him, to give him money isn't charity. He gives me some knowledge, I buy him some shoes. And to think blacks spend all their money on big colleges, still most of y'all come out confused. Go ahead, Mr. Wendell. Go ahead, Mr. Win.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour of our program. I've been looking forward to this. Speech is back. The two-time Grammy-winning founder of one of conscious hip-hop's most iconic groups, Arrested Development, of course, joins us right now for the hour to talk about their new album, Adult Contemporary Hip Hop. I love the album title. I love the album for that matter. But I love the title, Adult Contemporary Hip Hop. It's been a minute since I last talked to Speech, so I am delighted to have him back on this program. My friend, how are you, sir?
My brother Tavis, man, I literally have a smile on my face. It's so good to talk to you, man. And before I say anything else, I just need to say how much pride I have in the 4 years you've been running this station. Brother, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of what you do. And salute to you, man. I just got to tell you, salute.
You are too kind. This is a mutual admiration society because, as you well know, your music is on the soundtrack of my life. I can't imagine my life without your music on the soundtrack. I was thrilled when I heard that you were dropping a new project, and we'll talk about that. I'm glad I got you for the hour. There's a whole lot to talk about. Speech loves Smiley, and Smiley loves Speech. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Thank you. That's dope.
Let me start with this. One of the reasons why I so joyed in hearing that this project was coming is because we all know that the world that we are inhabiting right now is on fire. The world is on fire, and it seems to me that if we ever needed life music before,